Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day that it is for you. I hope that you're doing well and having a great week. And for all of my friends who celebrated Rosh Hashanah yesterday, Shana Tova to you. Happy New Year. All right, we are going to talk today about repetition of songs and why it's important. I have seen this all over social media lately on TikTok and Instagram about people who are having visitors come into their room and asking, about how many times they sang that song. Or the kids say, oh, we're singing this song again. Yes, it is important. Repetition is important that our students hear a song numerous times over to really fully understand the musical complexities and the music. So, not just about lyrics, but it is important that every time that we do it, that we tweak a little something to do it a little differently, because doing the same song the same ways is not like learning it when we were in college and in our voice lessons or in our piano lessons and learning that same song over and over exactly the same way every single time. For littles, we need to do it a little bit differently. So sometimes that might mean adding some rhythm sticks. Sometimes it might mean doing some playful activities with mallets, even if we're not using mallets. It might mean singing it in a quiet voice. It might mean singing it and adding a crescendo in some place and adding a decrescendo in some place. It might mean adding drums with it, playing the beat. It might mean so many different things. So repetition of a song is really important. And talking about being playful with our mallets, we're going to talk about some ways today to use our mallets in a very playful, fun, and artful way. If you haven't read Jane Frazie's book, Artful, Playful, Mindful, I'm in a book study right now. And even though I haven't made it to the book study as much as I would like due to home volleyball games for my daughter, it is still an amazing book that is definitely worth a read, no matter what grade that you teach. And I say no matter what grade because there are projects in there that are basically for second grade and up. But that whole idea of artful, playful, mindful can be stretched down to our lower grades as well. So one thing I like to do with mallets, and especially if I'm working on a song that we know, is to do a little something with the mallets to kind of prepare students, particularly in younger grades, for playing. And so that is just if we're playing something, if we're singing something that we know, we might do like a windshield wiper pattern. And so usually I will play a piece of music. So I want you to imagine that I have a piece of music on and that I am going to play something with my mallets and just be playful. I'm not going to have an instrument in front of me. I'm just going to use some mallets and I'm going to be playful. So just imagine for about 30 seconds that there is some music playing. So play your favorite music and just watch this. So essentially, it's just being very playful and very funny and very silly with them. But it's still working on this idea of mallet grip. And that's something that is really, really important that we work on. And just being playful in how we present that to our students. So the same idea of playful goes for when I am teaching my students how to play anything. So anything, especially for my littles, I am going to be very playful about how I approach some things. So once I pass things out to students, I literally let them play. I know it's noisy. I get that it's chaotic. It's okay. It is truly okay, but they truly do need that time to just explore and play. Having them put their instruments down and putting their hands in their lap is not realistic for our young students to be able to do that. So I tell them they can quietly warm their instruments up and wake their instruments up. And I say, when you wake up, you don't start screaming and yelling and shouting. And your instruments need to be quiet when they're waking up too, because other people might not have woken up yet. So it does work, and your students will get used to it. And yes, it is noisy, and yes, it is chaotic, and yes, you may need to walk over somebody who's playing them very loudly and just take them away from that student and say, are you ready to wake it up quietly? Okay, here you go. You may need to do all of those things, but it is important that they have time to explore and find out about this new timbre of instrument that you have passed out to them on their own. And that means things like when I get my instrument and I go sit in front of the kids and I go, and I do all kinds of silliness, and then I start going, and I'll say, what else? And somebody will start doing something. They'll start tapping on the phone. Oh, what else? And I'm always training them that I'm going to put my hands up here with my hands apart, because eventually I want them to understand that this is the waiting position. And then once I have everybody like this, I say, what else? What else? And we keep going through that process. And then other times, once we've done the exploration phase, and that might be the whole activity that day, and then the sticks away, time for them another day, sticks away, time for them another day. And every song that we do, everything that we do, we're going to sing that. Drums away, time for them another day. Shakers away, actually I say shakers back, carefully so they don't crack. All of these fun little silly things. Eventually what's going to happen, the next time I pass out drums, everybody's waking their instruments up, and I just walk over and I sit in front of the kids and I go, and then I'll go like this. And you notice I'm giving this preparatory gesture that we use in conducting as well, of that upbeat to get them ready for that sound. I'm doing a preparatory. Okay. And then eventually I will have them doing this if I want them to play the beat. Eventually that becomes, and it becomes a little game. And then eventually we are playing the steady beat. This little trick works really well for your students. And of course, always coming back to their hands off of it. It is a drum. We're going to prep it here with our hands. Oftentimes with sticks too, I will prep it. If we're playing a specific part, I will prep it with their fingertips. So it's the same action as whatever they're doing. If it's a triangle, I have them pinch like this and I have them go like this. Or we tap our hand. So we're preparing this gesture, whatever it is, drum, whatever it is, shaker. We're going to prepare that gesture with our bodies in some kind of way before we give the instruments to them to play a specific part. Play is different than playing, right? Playing means that we are playing usually a specific part. If we are involved in the activity of play, that means just simple play for play's sake, discovery. So allow your students to have those discovery moments. And if you don't have enough of one instrument, if you only have enough for half the class, I prepare my students for this activity by having instruments put out on the ground, and then I put a stretchy band in front of it so that they know they're not to cross that barrier. And then when it's time for us to engage in that activity, I will have each student pair up, and then I will show everybody with one group of students, with one partner pair, how they're going to sit in front of the instrument. So if the instrument is this, then my two students are sitting right here kind of behind the instrument. I can't show you this way because you won't be able to see it. So if this is the instrument, they're sitting behind, and this person's in front of the instrument, and this person is behind this person. And then I say some funny words, and I say, when I say funny words, and remember the whole class is just watching, and they're just sitting in front of the instrument, they're not touching it. When I say some funny words, you are going to trade places. So, ock knock diddy walk picky picky poo, shimmy gimme galamini tucky ticky too. It could be intry mintry triple d fig, d ma di ma do ma dig, howdy powdy, no manouchi, aliga balaga boo. It could be eeny meeny ducka feeny, malini, xy, kumalada, xyz. It could be Humpty Dumpty. It could be anything, as long as it sort of has the same phrase length of whatever song it is you're using. And usually they're very short phrases, but these are mostly like an 8B phrase. So they're going to switch, and I say, oh, what do you think is going to happen if I say those funny words again? They're going to say, oh, they're going to switch again. Yeah, so I do it again. And then, because everybody has watched this happen, and they understand the process of what's going to happen, and we have talked it through, they're going to be much more likely to be successful at switching if I've shown them and demonstrated with 2 students, as opposed to everybody being there all together and some kids not quite understanding what we're going to do. And those kids that need a little bit more they need to reiterate those directions. I'll say, turn to your partner and tell them what you're going to do when you hear those funny words. And they'll put it in their own kid language. Most likely they're going to say switch. And then we practice with everybody. This is way before, we don't even have instruments in our hands yet. They're just sitting there. And then we're going to switch with our partners. Or you could take out the instruments and just have the kids sit there and just prep them that way with a spot in front of them, one of those little spots that you can use. You can do it that way and then just have them switch that way. You're just preparing this activity so that it runs with the most fluidity and success and artfulness that it can possibly happen. And also, doing it with that kind of rhyme helps to keep that flow, and you don't lose the musicality of saying, okay, everybody switch partners. You keep on the music going with whatever song that you're doing, and then you can just go ock knock diddy whack or intry minty or Humpty Dumpty, whatever it is you decide to use, to have them switch partners. And then you're going to pass out the instruments, and then you're going to allow them to play. And you're going to, again, model just that play, what that feels like, looks like, all those different things of how play looks like. And then eventually you're going to go, ock knock diddy walk, picky picky boo, whatever it is that you're going to say. And then you allow that next student to have time to play. It's really important, friends. I can't stress to you enough how important play, simple play is. And then you're going to switch again back to first partner, and then you're going to engage in whatever activity it is that you have set them up, and you have set the tone so beautifully for them to be ready. So that repetition is really important, and repetition with play is really important, and repetition of song material is really important. Just tweak it a little bit every time. But students do need a repetition in all things. This we know. Hope you have a great week. Bye, everyone.